told by your doctor not to worry about picky eating, and it's not a big deal. Don't worry about it. You don't have to do anything, and just feed them the food that they will eat. I'm going to tell you why that's a problem, why that's a total bullshit answer, and what you can do instead. I've received a lot of emails over the last week or two telling me from parents telling me that the picky eating has been an issue for like months or years, and that their doctor just keeps fobbing them off, tells them don't worry about it, it's a phase, it'll pass. There's nothing you can really do, just feed them the food they will eat, so they eat. Okay, I'm going to first off tell you why that's a really terrible idea and why that is helping keep you really stuck, and what you can do instead. So the reason it's a really bad idea is because if your child goes from eating all sorts of foods to eating like hardly any foods, that's a really big change in their eating behavior. So if that's happening, that's not a good thing. And that's something that you need to address ASAP. And it's really good that you're so in touch with what your child is eating that you've noticed that this is a problem. So if a doctor is fobbing you off and telling you not to worry about it, it's probably because they don't know what to do about it. Most doctors, and I'm not ragging on doctors here, doctors are great at what they do, which is diagnose and treat disease. They are not dietitians. Most of them have very little training in nutrition, and the picky eating space, like pediatric nutrition, is a very specific part of dietetics. I've had people reach out from my master's degree that I did my master's degree with who are like renal dietitians or heart dietitians or cancer dietitians or head and neck dietitians that have asked me questions about their own children, because not like this is a specialty area. So it's not a surprise that doctors don't know about what to do here. And so if you've been told, don't worry about it from a doctor, that can put you in a really shitty situation, because I've spoken to parents whose their child is literally failing to thrive. They are not gaining weight, which is a huge problem. And the doctor told them not to worry about it. And the mother was very, very concerned. And the father just said, well, the doctor said not to worry about it, so it's fine. It's not fine. And when it's somebody like a doctor who's in a position of authority and power tells you not to worry, you kind of feel really helpless. If this has happened to you, like feel free to like share your experience with this, because I hear this a lot, and I know that probably somebody on this live has experienced this as well. Okay, so that's why it's a problem. If your child's eating has dramatically changed, they were eating a lot of foods and now they're not eating a lot of foods, they were eating a variety from all the food groups and now they're not, that's a big problem. And sometimes this can creep in more slowly, where it's your child was eating everything when they were 16 months old. When they're 20 months old, they might have dropped like 5 foods off, and then that continues to happen. If your child's food list is continuing to shrink, that's a problem. And it's something that you want to monitor, because sometimes it can creep in really slowly, and it could be 2 years down the road that you realize, shit, my child used to eat everything and now they only eat 10 things. That's a really big problem. So the second part of this question, or this issue, I suppose, is doctors saying just feed your child what they will eat. That is something that I talk about a lot I've replied to a lot of questions in video form as to why you shouldn't do that, because, well, I mean, you can do whatever you want, of course. I'm not here to tell you what to do. You're here on a free live. You can do whatever you want. But if you do that, if you just feed your child the food they will eat, you are ensuring your child is eating. And I have people say, like, fed is best. Yes, of course, fed is best. But the caveat to that is, that's a short-term solution. That's a band-aid solution to something that is a much bigger issue. And if you're not working on the bigger issue, you are still feeding into this problem of your child only eating a few accepted foods. So chances are, where I see parents, is that they're making separate meals, because most parents don't want to eat chicken nuggets and mac and cheese every day with their child. So you start to make separate meals. And the people that I'm working with, 8 families at the moment in my small coaching group, and a lot of them started off with separate meals, and several of them have also there was a lot of TV. I think everybody in this group actually was having TV and screens on during meals, which we've just started week 4. Everyone has removed screens, and everyone is now sticking to a schedule, which is another big issue, where parents just don't have a schedule. Because again, when your doctor tells you, don't worry about picky eating, just feed your kid what they will eat, you will also probably start feeding your kid whenever they ask for food, which, if you've followed me for a while, you know that that's not what I recommend. It's not what the research recommends. Children thrive with schedules. This is true at school. This is true with brushing their teeth and routines and that sort of thing. It's also true with meals. And if you are, and I'm not saying you feed your kid 3 meals a day. No, if you're new to this concept of having your child on a schedule, if you're on TikTok or if you're on YouTube, I've got videos, playlists about schedules and how to set up a schedule. My online course, Mealtimes Without Meltdowns, will show you how to set up a successful schedule, as well as a lot of other things. That you need to have your child on a predictable mealtime and snack time schedule. So if your child is eating just the things that they will eat, you are not helping stretch them into eating the foods that they used to eat, and you are going to make the problems slowly or continue to get worse. You're not working on the problem, you're just supporting the problem, rather than actually working directly on the problem, which is helping your child try more foods and being more comfortable branching out to new foods. So that's the problem with, my doctor says don't worry about picky eating. It's not a big deal. It is a big deal. It's a problem. A lot of children struggle with either picky eating, selective eating, not eating enough variety. The poll I have open at the moment on TikTok is, does your child eat a variety of foods from all the fruits and vegetables? Does your child eat a variety of foods from all the food groups? So I'm curious, for those of you watching on other platforms, tell me, does your child eat a variety of foods from all the food groups? And remember, fruit, the food group fruit, there's hundreds of fruits. If your child's eating one fruit, 3 fruits, that's not a big variety. If your child is eating one vegetable from the vegetables food group, that's not a lot of variety. It's better than eating none, but it's not a big variety. So that's a question to ask yourselves, so that you can kind of get an idea, because less than 20 foods is a red flag. But I like to combine that question with, are they eating a variety from all the food groups? Because if your child is eating a reasonable variety, they might have 30 foods. But if they're not eating fruits or vegetables, that's 2 food groups that they have completely eliminated, which is a problem. Even though they still have more than 20 foods, it's still a problem. So I'm going to turn this over to some questions now, and I will answer some questions. I'll be here live for a little while. And something that I will say, actually, because I had a mum send me an email that I just finished replying to. I wasn't sure if I was going to go live today, because I've got a lot of other work to do. But I decided I was going to go live because when I finished reading this email and replying to it, I was really annoyed by the fact that some poor woman is trying so hard to feed her child, and he only eats a few different foods. She said she's getting other people in her life telling her that she shouldn't feed her child chicken nuggets and the things that he will eat, but she's been told by her doctor to feed him those things because the doctor has no fucking idea what to do. Let's be honest. That's why you tell somebody that, because you don't have a fucking better plan for them. So yeah. If you've got questions or you've been told this, please feel free to drop your questions in. Where is your child at with their food? I can see I've had a few questions come in. So how do you have them try new foods without bargaining or threatening? Okay, so that's a really good question. Do you chat about vitamins and your preferences on them? Daisy, I've got, just quickly, I do have a playlist on TikTok about, pretty sure there's one about vitamins. If not, you might need to scroll back a bit. But basically, your child doesn't need a multivitamin supplement. If your child is low in iron, one, why are they low in iron? It's usually because they have an inadequate intake of iron because they have not a very varied diet. So the biggest issue there is we need to work on the pickiness, why they don't have good variety in their diet. And the short-term solution is they need a supplement as prescribed by a doctor after a blood test for iron, but not a multivitamin. So that's the short answer. So how do you get them to try the foods without bargaining and threatening? That's a great question. That's what I work on with my private clients, my group clients, and also in my online courses. Gives you a lot of tools on how to do that, because we all know, or maybe not everybody knows, I talk about this all the time, so I feel like everybody knows it, is pressuring, bribing, threatening. All of that is pressure. You must eat this, you have to try it, you don't get this if you don't eat this. That's pressure. You're doing yourself the same disservice as just feeding them the reliable foods that they will eat. Because if that's the case, you're basically telling them this food is so terrible, the only way that you can possibly enjoy eating it, or the only way that you will eat it, is if I give you cake afterwards, or I let you watch the iPad afterwards. So you're actually reinforcing the opposite of what you want. So how do you do this? It comes through a lot of conversation, changing the way you communicate with your child. This is something I talk about a lot on my page. If you're new, hi and welcome. A lot of what I talk about on here is changing your mindset, the concept of how we talk to children about food, because we have there's a lot more work to do than just at the meal times. And that might not be what you want to hear, but that's how, when you see like my client wins, that like this client, I just posted a few of them on Instagram, like and I'm just having a look at the spreadsheet behind me, which has, again, we're week 4. We've just started week 4. We've wrapped up 3 full weeks of coaching in my small coaching group. And we've already got children. Some of them are licking new things. Some of them are actually eating new things. Many of them are accepting new foods on their plate. Many of them have tried new combinations of food. This is all within just a few weeks. I had one child who was having trouble going to the toilet, like to poop. And I know that's, what does that have to do with nutrition? Well, if your child's constipated, they're not having much of an appetite. So we do need to take care of the constipation issue and the toileting issue. So this is also something that I work on with clients. So the point was, to get those sorts of wins, you have to be prepared to put in more than just at what's happening at meal times. There's a lot more that you are capable of helping your child with at meal times, but away from meal times. So that was a very long-winded way of saying, not pressuring your child, bribing or threatening them to try things is a really important tool in your toolbox. And depending on what your child, on how old your child is, do they have a level of anxiety around food, the way we would approach that depends on different children, which is why when we can work together, I get a really good sense of who your child is, what they've experienced in their life, and what is the best way to support them to try new foods. But always, 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 we change the way we're communicating with our child. Okay. I'm going over to Instagram for some questions. Lately, our 3.5-year-old has greatly increased her variety of foods. Of foods he will eat from every food group. It's such a relief. That's great. If you're still in the live, what did you do to help them with that? Okay, thank you. If my baby is not eating what I served him, what should I do? Keep insisting. I always offer a fruit or dessert. Is that okay? My baby is 11 months old. I'm guessing when you say dessert, you do mean something like a fruit, because the recommendation is for children. And I talked about this actually on Instagram. If you missed the stories that I posted the last couple of days about some of the new research, I saved it in I think it's called the research highlight. Go and have a look at that. It's recommended not to introduce like sweetened foods, sugars and added sweeteners, until your child is over 2 years old. So I'm guessing you mean something like sweets. It's okay to serve that with the meal. But don't get up and get them something else, because when they're a baby, that's when we're laying this foundation. And the way you respond to your child, even when they're a baby, is going to either set you up to be really successful, or it's going to have you end up, shit, now I've just started catering to my child, my baby, at 11 months old. Sometimes it can happen that early. Other times it's 12, 14, 16 months old. And that's how you end up getting stuck in this, I'm catering to your specific needs. So if you have a baby and you're starting solids, I've got a specific course that is called Fuss Free First Foods that is all about how to introduce solids safely, whether you do baby-led weaning or purees. You can do a combination. This course is all inclusive for whichever one you feel is the right one for you. How to do that safely, but also how to set up responsive meal times so that you can do everything possible to avoid a picky eater or a chronic picky eater. And if you do have a child who is more selective, this will set you up with how to work on that throughout their toddlerhood and childhood to keep you in the best possible position. And if your child is over 12 months, the course that I have that I would recommend for you is my Meal Times Without Meltdowns course. It covers all the things that you need, whether you're weaning from bottles, milk, setting up, again, like the responsive meal time so that you're not catering to them. Elise, you said you were more relaxed at meal times mostly and less pressure, no bargaining. That's wonderful. That's huge. Well done for doing that on your own. You ate pulled pork, Korean beef and salmon burger this last week. That's awesome. All right. Let me see. I've had some questions come in also on YouTube, which is really nice. What if the child is showing symptoms of anorexia? Child is 4, hides her food in her napkin under the furniture, and is very underweight. That sounds like it could be. That sounds like anxiety more than anything else, and it makes me wonder if that child has been pressured to eat. Because think about it, putting a food in your mouth is a really intimate thing. Putting anything in your mouth is an intimate thing, and if someone's forcing you to do that, you would also find ways to get around having to do that by putting the food away, spitting it out, turning your head away, not wanting to come to the table, spitting things out and hiding it. I've just been sometimes TikTok like filters comments, so I'm trying to figure out how to unfilter them, because usually there's nothing wrong with them, but they are filtered out, and then I can't read some of the really good questions that you guys send. So I need to figure out how to turn that off. Are you taking new clients? My daughter is 5 and won't try any new fruits and vegetables. Yes, I am. I have a wait list at the moment. Depending how severe the picky eating is, you may be a good fit for my next small coaching group, which starts in October. And in this month of September, I do have an early bird discount or an early bird special. So feel free to send me a private message on TikTok or on Instagram. Or on Facebook. Just let me know you came from the live and let me know you're interested in the group. If they're really extreme, like if the case is complex, like they have in many cases with neurodivergent children, I don't recommend the group, because oftentimes you've tried a lot of the things that we already have done that we will cover in the group. So if you're not a good fit for the group, I would recommend one-on-one. And I do have a wait list for that, but I am accepting a few new clients for the rest of this year. So just reach out to me in a private message. My son is autistic and 5 and refuses to try new things. What can I do? So because children who are neurodivergent, and I have a large number of kiddos that I'm working with at the moment, my practice has taken on a lot more neurodivergent children in the last, call it 12 months. And they absolutely can be helped. I've had a couple of different children of different ages, 4, 5, I've got a 9-year-old, I've had a 7-year-old, and they can make really, really good progress. It really depends on the child as to what is going to work best for them. So that's why I'd only recommend one-on-one typically for neurodiverse cases, because each child is just so different, especially when they are neurodiverse. If I leave it up to him, he'll never try anything new at all. He's 5 and autistic and losing safe foods. I'd recommend that you reach out to me, perhaps in a private message. It sounds like we'd be best off setting up a discovery call and meeting and chatting and seeing if it's a good fit for us to work together one-on-one. So please feel free to do that. I'm going to see if I can just sent you, Steph in Space, just sent you a private message for your small coaching group program. Oh, beautiful. Wonderful. Steph, I'm guessing you did that on TikTok. I'll make sure I see that and reply to you. If you see me like reading stuff, I am attempting to allow all comments, because sometimes comments get filtered. Yeah, it is on. Review community flagged comments. Okay, and at the exact same time that I'm doing this, somebody, the poll finished, and 100% of you said that your child is not eating a variety of foods from all the food groups. So there are comments. Okay, so I have changed my comment filter settings to allow all messages. So chances are I'll probably get a lot more comments now. Okay, Steph, wonderful. I will reply to your message when I get off this live and send you the information. Instagram, let's have a look to see if there are any comments. We moved dinner time to later and offer a small afternoon snack. He was really resisting dinner, and making those changes helped a lot. That's really great. It's really interesting. In the first week of the small coaching group, I review your schedules, and we make the changes, because that's the easiest thing to start making changes with. It's the easiest thing that we can use to create appetite. It helps me figure out if there's your child snacking all day long. That's a really easy fix. Like, there's no snacks all day long beyond week 2. That's not a thing anymore. Just like TV screens is no longer a thing anymore for the small coaching group that I have right now. That's taken care of in the first couple of weeks, because that makes a really huge difference to your child's eating. So what you were saying there about changing the time of dinner. So I had some clients who also shifted around some of the times of their lunches or breakfasts, or sometimes dinner and snacks. And it makes a really huge difference. One family, we've moved their dinner time earlier, because they could have done it in one of 2 ways. They could have moved it later or moved it earlier. And by moving it earlier, which worked for them, their child is less tired, and they're much more willing to try new things, and dinner time is much less stressful for everybody. And so that's the really nice thing when we work in group coaching. It's really important in those first couple of weeks, we make those really big shifts that we can make really easily. And then within the first couple of weeks, I tell everyone on our first call, in 2 weeks, you will be so much less stressed at meal times. And everybody gives me this look of we'll see about that. And now we're week 4. There are still questions. I had some really good questions today. One of the questions was one of the kids is still saying ooh, yuck to everything. And so we did a deep dive on that. It was really nice today. They were my only call. We ended up spending almost 2 hours on this call instead of our usual hour. And I say hour, but it's usually, the call is supposed to be only 45 minutes, but I'm very generous with time in that sense when we're working together, because there's always more questions to answer. And I want to make sure that you walk away with the tools that you need for the week, so that you can make the progress that you need, and then you're able to communicate with me directly during the week with what's going on, so that I can support you during the week as well. It's not bye, see you in a week. It's bye, see you in the chat tomorrow if you need help. So it's not that all problems are fixed after 4 weeks. It's that a lot of the easy problems to fix are fixed. There's no more screens, there's no more separate meals, you're much less stressed. So those actually are big things, but at least they are resolved pretty quickly. All right. My 15-month never wants to eat and throws his plates on the floor. I'm limiting snacks too. Do you think it's possible that he's not hungry at some of those times? Sometimes when I'm working with parents that have younger babies, it's that they're being offered food too frequently, which is, if you haven't watched the YouTube video that I have about schedules, it's an amazing free resource where I cover it in much more detail in my online course, Mealtimes Without Meltdowns. But this will give you a really good way to set up a schedule and start sticking to it. I'm just looking at the time here, and I have to say goodbye. I've got to go have lunch and finish replying to all the other messages that I have. I've got a lot of emails to go through, but thank you all for being here and either listening or sending questions. And this will be recorded. I'm going to save it on Instagram and on YouTube. So if you just joined at the end, but you have questions or you wanted to watch more of it, you can go and watch it either on my YouTube channel or Instagram. And if you had any questions or you wanted to talk about the coaching group, send me a private message. The coaching group link is only available if you send me a private message. It's not on my website. There's information about it on my website, but the link to sign up, you've got to message me for that. So if you've got questions, message me. Cool. Well, I hope you have a great day, and I will speak to you soon. Bye.